This show is sponsored by PowerfulWomenUSA.com. Hey everybody, I'm Jill Conway, and this is Secrets of Powerful Women, a show dedicated to celebrating and supporting strong and successful women and sharing their stories. I'm hoping that you will be inspired to pursue your dreams, feel empowered, reclaim your voice, and discover your strengths. And you know what? You're not alone. We are all in this together. So my guest today is Bridget Dernbach, and she's an entrepreneur, founder and CEO of Bare Naked Bakery, which is gluten-free, dairy-free, and nut-free. It's a great bakery, and she's got several stores and opening up more. So all the food there is delicious because I've tried it. It's fantastic. So Bridget, thank you for being here, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Jill. It's great to see you. So excited to be here.
Thank you. I know I'm excited to have you. So let's first off talk about the bakery, right? What is it? Who's it for? And then we'll go into why you did it and your story behind that.
Sure. So Bare Naked Bakery is 100% gluten-free, 100% nut-free. We have a tremendous amount of vegan options, and we're about 98% dairy-free. So that's really the community that we serve. There's a infinite amount of products that we make. I mean, we cover every territory between sweets, cakes, catering. It's endless. Now we have a full cafe. It's really massive.
It has grown.
Yes.
So let's jump into the story, right? So what gave you the idea, because it's so needed now, especially. So what gave you this idea to open up this bakery?
I saw such a void. And it's funny that you say it's so needed now. Mm-hmm. It was needed then too, but people didn't really know that.
Which is what year? What year did you start?
So I started in 2009, really scratch started on my mom's farm, which is such a random detail that often gets kind of like buried with all the, the crazy growth that we see. I have to remind myself of that because it did start on a farm, on a small, humble little farm, like the last farm in Nassau County, really.
Oh my gosh. But how did it start? What are you just like?
So my mom at the time was, she's always been she's just salt of the earth. She is a farmer by trade. She has always done that, and she had her own farm. I didn't grow up with her having a farm. I grew up with her working on farms and always in the organic foods world. Wow. So her and her business partner were running this farm. I was living in Miami for 10 years. I swore I would never move back to New York.
Everyone says that.
I would never move back to Long Island, and I would never marry someone from the town I grew up. So yeah,
so
it's funny how things happen. So we had. I was very eager to work and to build my career and to get, I saw a need, and I had an opportunity. I was working in another business that was mine, and I saw a need for this, and I felt that there was just nobody doing this, and nobody doing it well. Like whatever was out there was just so unpalatable, and
yes,
I just
like cardboard.
I felt like there had to be a better way, and I think most ideas come from that need, and but having the guts and the endurance to pursue it is a different, it involves a different level of commitment.
Yeah, for sure.
So we started on a farm with a small little bake shop. I'm not a baker by trade.
Oh, wow.
I've never actually worked in the food business.
Well, I'm not either. I don't like it to be in the kitchen at all, so.
I do like to cook, but I've never worked in the food business. I've never waited a table. I really took a hard turn, and I love a challenge. I really do. I think I'm really like an adrenaline junkie in a way. Yeah. So but I saw a need. I saw a real need for this, and I felt, my sister was diagnosed with Crohn's. I personally was eating gluten-free just by choice, I guess you could say. And when you're doing that, realizing that there's really nothing covering the bases, like just on the go. There was some things on the grocery shelf, but nothing like, where are you going for your bacon, egg, and cheese in the morning, or your birthday cake, or where is that coming from? You go without, or you bake it at home, or So I felt there was a real need in the market for it. And I started, and
Well, let's talk about that. So first of all, you said your sister had Crohn's, you said?
Yes.
So you can't eat a lot of things when you have Crohn's, right? You have to limit your diet.
Yes. So unfortunately, I don't even know even still, but at that time there was very little medical guidance to bring gluten-free lifestyle with Crohn's. It was sort of this sort of fend for yourself, like figure it out. We'll give you medication, but we're really not going to advise you on any particular way of eating.
Right.
And, shocker, she did way better with her Crohn's when she ate gluten-free. Just inflammation. It's like sheer inflammation. It just her body did better. She did better. Her symptoms were better.
And this was like what? This was like more than 10 years ago, right?
15
years ago when gluten-free, when you told someone you were gluten-free, they were like, oh, what's this story? What's this, and they think you're weird or whatever, but you obviously start feeling a lot better.
Yeah. I've learned to stop listening to those people.
No, that's what you have to do.
I really do. I really just tune it out.
Well, there'll always be, and we'll go into this later, but there'll always be the haters or the people who think you're crazy or the naysayers.
Yeah, I embrace that. It's like good, like I just kind of look at it as like, they don't know yet. It's like, okay, well, most of those people end up coming in year 2, year 3, year 4 later, and they're like, you'll never believe this. My son, my sister, my cousin, my boss, my husband, like there's just it keeps growing. The market keeps growing.
So you started on the farm. You started making things
So at that point I had the idea for the concept of it. It was like similar to like a Panera bread for gluten-free.
Okay.
So it wasn't going to just be, bakery, and it wasn't going to just be cafe. It was sort of this catch-all for, fresh bread, fresh muffins, fresh items. And really, like, I didn't want them to just taste good. I wanted them to look normal. And this is where like the real void came. And this took years and years and years. Like I still won't admit that we've arrived because I'm constantly improving and looking for that way to make, something better. But yeah, it was, that was really more my inspiration, was making it look normal and creating a normal space for people who otherwise weren't experiencing it. Like, when you see parents come into a place and their kids can look at a menu and order anything off of that, like many of them for the first time in their lives, they've never done that before. So it's really emotional. It's very emotional. It's extremely rewarding. And it never gets old. Right. It never gets old to see that, the look on like a kid's face and the look on the parent's face, the relief, they're honestly in disbelief. They just can't believe it's everything's on the menu.
And it's delicious.
And it's delicious. I have to admit it wasn't always that way. It took a very long time to get the things, right. But yes, it was a combination of the experience for the people as well as the product that was missing.
Well, that's everything, I think, right? When you can make people feel good and that they're not missing out on anything. And, I think that's part of it, right? That's part of your whole message, your mission really is.
Yes, like to have that normalcy back. So people feel like they're safe, they're enjoying it. And, I think that's important, especially for kids. Like kids, I think, read their parents' angst. Yeah. And rightfully so when, you have a reaction, whether it's allergic or it's, like something that is like anaphylactic, which clearly is, cause for real concern, and or just watching your kids suffer because of something that you thought was safe for them. Right. It causes a great deal of pressure and angst for the parent. When you see them be able, like I think kids pick up on that. Sure. And when they are able to see a parent, feel a certain way, they kind of have the green light to say, okay, like it's safe here. This place is good. I can eat here. Right. So that's really cool.
Well, when I met you many years ago, my daughter was lactose intolerant and would get very sick, would be actually vomiting after she had milk. We couldn't figure out what it was. And then when I think at that point you were kind of just getting going and you were like, oh my God, you have to try this. You have to try this. And it was just kind of far. It was like, can it really taste good? And it really does. And you have now you have birthday cakes.
Oh my gosh, we have a lot. I mean, we have
rolls, even something simple.
We have since acquired an Italian line of gluten-free product in the last 2 years. I don't even think I got to catch you up on this, but yeah. So we we purchased a company that was making gluten-free Italian foods a couple of years ago, and we've completely reformulated those recipes to make them ours, and make them better, make them more stable, make them more tasty. And we have raviolis, mozzarella sticks, pizza shells. It's obscene. It's really obscene the amount of things that we are like now doing. So
wow. So you can come in. So someone listening, they can come in and they can have a slice of pizza.
Yes. They can have soup. They can have salads. They can have fried fried ravioli, Belgian waffles, pancakes, bagels, cream cheese,
right,
bacon,
and then desserts.
Yes, and then of course, right, save room for dessert.
Right. And you have how many stores now?
So we just started licensing about less than a year ago, actually. So Huntington is our first licensed store.
What does that mean? What do you mean it's licensed?
So it's just a way to sort of you can purchase the license, which gives you the rights to operate a store, like a franchise, but it's a different, different way to do it, I guess.
Right.
So, we started licensing. So we are expanding our retail.
Wow.
We have Belmore, Plainview. We have Huntington as our first licensed store. And then we also have our factory out in Shirley.
Wow.
So it's a bit.
And years ago, I don't know if you still are, but you used to, you were at MSG? Or?
Yeah, we do a lot of wholesale. And it's, at this point, we deal with a lot of distributors. So I sometimes don't know where our product is exactly. So if we sell to, some of these bigger distributors where they're selling to Uncle Giuseppe's or to Ivorone or different grocers, that we often don't get that like client list from them to know where the product actually, it keeps growing, and we have an idea of most of them, but sometimes I'll get someone say, "Oh, I just had your bread at this diner," and I'm like, "Oh, great! I didn't know we sold to them."
Wow, I know, it's so funny. I love pizza. I can have it every day, honestly. We were in O Sole Mio in Stony Brook, and I saw it, and I was like, "Girl, oh my gosh!"
Yes, the pizza is so good. It's so good.
It's amazing.
And we do pizza by the slice, which again, back to helping create that normal experience. If I'm a mom and my kid is challenged with this, I don't want them getting a 12-inch pizza.
Right.
I want them to have a slice of pizza like every New Yorker should have.
Right.
That's a big deal to me. Like, it's just that, so it's just normal on every level. It's taste, it's the texture, it's the serving size. It's not,
Yeah. But also, you're kosher too, right?
So we don't, some of our products are, some aren't.
Okay.
We did have our Plainview store was kosher, but we ended up expanding that retail to another space. We doubled it in size, and we didn't end up bringing the certification over with us for multiple reasons, but we do still have some kosher products that we offer, just not the facility anymore.
All right. So I love this. I love this story. So I want to also talk about, obviously you're a woman in business, right? And let's go back. You had the first idea, right? However it came to you, we'll talk about the next, after the next break. But, so at what point, you had this idea and you're like, how do I even begin? What did, because you didn't say no. You didn't tell yourself no ever. Right? Like, you didn't I can't do this. Did those words come out of your mouth?
I have, I spent my entire 20s on this eat, pray, love journey. And I felt like I had cultivated enough faith in my own life to know that when you're given a vision and you're given, some type of insight, you really have a duty to follow through. It's like marching orders. And you can say no and you can turn your back, but there's a price to that. You don't get to pick and choose the path, and when it's given to you, it's your job to take that step. And it's ultimately, I guess, a leap of faith, my faith and my career are indistinguishable.
Right.
I can't, I would say we for years, and it was just me, but it was I felt like I wasn't doing this alone.
Right.
And the more that I trusted, the more the path would illuminate. So it sort of became this synergy of coordination. Like I would have to, and
more doors opened.
More doors open. Yes. More doors open. But like that clarity would come of how to execute, how to do it, how to get that deal or that space or that partnership or that, it's like we often run from the things that we don't know. And I truly have found a place to embrace that. Like, I think that the unknown is truly why we're here, to make known the unknown.
Oh,
I mean, that's my mojo. That's my approach. That's how I like view it.
Yeah.
So I'm not to go.
We can go spiritual.
Too off track. Okay. So
okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So I just kind of feel like we're all given these treasures, each one of us different, sometimes completely unknown to us. We don't know what they are. Maybe some of us can sing or not, or dance or business or create. And I guess I look at it like at the end of my life, I want that treasure chest to open and there to be nothing left. Like, damn, she used everything. Right, like, that's how I look at it. Like, I don't like to squander. I don't want to, it's easy to, because it's scary as hell. But I think on the other side of that is that the support, and the path and the things that you need to get there. Like,
right. Oh, that made me all tear up because it's such a beautiful statement,
Yeah.
That really I always say don't, what is the line? Like, don't leave with the music left in you. Don't die with the music left in you, right?
No. And it's like, it's easy to do it. I get it. I'm sure
it's easy to ignore it.
It's easy to ignore it or be like, no, I don't have time for that. Or I don't know how to do that. Or I never worked in the food business. How could I possibly, how could I possibly know this? But when a vision comes, it's like, you don't, I guess I feel kind of disciplined to follow it through. And I feel like I owe that to my faith.
Well, we'll talk. I do want to touch on that because you are a very spiritual person, and we connected to that too. And I remember we went to Joel Osteen, and when he was in New Jersey, I think. But you are so spiritual and so in tune, I think, with your higher self, I would say. And certainly everyone, they say, has a team around them, behind them, spiritual team. And I do believe that. And you listen. And you are 100% committed. And I don't think from what I have known it's like you don't doubt that at whatsoever.
Since you know me, yes. I would say that I think that, how can I say this? Like, I think we have emotions and we experience them, but they're not supposed to run the show. That's how in order to get to that perspective, I've had to truly be able to divorce myself from emotion. It's not that I don't experience emotion. It's not that I don't feel it. It's not that I don't hurt or get sad or get discouraged, but they're feelings, right? They belong in a certain category, I guess. Like, I experience them, I feel them, but they don't decide my move.
Right.
And that has been a huge sort of line for me. So if I can understand that what I'm feeling is fear, what I'm feeling is doubt, what I'm feeling is, nervousness or whatever, I can understand that and I can acknowledge it, I can respect it. I just don't let it guide me.
Ooh.
Period. Like, it's a law. It's like an internal law.
So what do you say to yourself at that point when you're feeling, discouraged or upset or whatever? You just say, like, I'm not going to let it stop me.
I say, like I would say to my kids, like, I'm sorry you feel that way, but go brush your teeth.
Right. Like, get going.
Okay, I understand you feel that way, but you still have something to do. Like, you have to do this. This is your job. Like, this is what you need to do.
Right.
So it's like, I guess it's a level of discipline that I don't stray from. I'm not perfect. I'm sure I have my ways where I falter or I, lapse, but for the most part, that's a guiding rule for me.
Were you always like that? Even as a kid?
No. I grew up very, my parents were hippies. My mom was a farmer. Like, she was like, there was
free.
No rules. It was
Faith,
free.
hope, and love.
Yes. Yeah. And I appreciate a lot of that, but it definitely lacked the structure or like which is, I had to, like I said, I spent my 20s on Eat, Pray, Love. So I'm happy that it led me there.
Yeah. And it got you here.
But ultimately, as far as discipline, no, not at all. I guess I could attribute a lot of that to my yoga practice.
Right.
So
but I always say, like, all those steps you went through have gotten you to this point, and I think that's pretty awesome. All right. So coming up, I do want to talk about, after the commercial break, I do want to talk about, advice that you would give to women and how to move forward in their careers. And we'll touch base also on the spiritual angle again. So we'll be back with Bridget Dernbach after the commercial break. You're listening to Secrets of Powerful Women. Join our community. Head to powerfulwomenusa.com for more information and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Apple, Amazon Music, Spotify, and YouTube. Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Secrets of Powerful Women. Bridget Dernbach is here, and she is an entrepreneur. She is founder and CEO of Bare Naked Bakery, which is gluten-free, dairy-free, and nut-free. All the goodies that you've ever wanted, and now a whole line of pizza and Italian food, which is my absolute favorite. So let's talk about advice, because you're a woman in business, and you've been in business now for many years. Oh, but you started, let's talk there. You started selling jeans. Let's do that. Okay. How did you go from jeans to
cupcakes?
This? Yeah, right?
I did have a boutique at some point. We ended up doing, I had a bricks and mortar store, and then we ended up doing house parties, and it became this whole sort of mobile business, which I ended up selling.
Which I love it, because you went to people's homes and they bought jeans. They tried on jeans. How great is that?
We had like one of the first mobile credit card machines. This was before the Square. I hate to date myself, but this was before the Square readers and everything was all digital. It was, so we would just have big, giant parties at night. I mean, sometimes they'd be like 100 people.
Wow.
And they would
such a great
just
idea.
All like, selling. It would be, we'd do accessories. We did jeans. We did clothing. It got a lot bigger than I had planned. It was a lot of fun, but I did feel like the hours were probably not like sustainable for the next chapter in my life. So, but also too, there was this, down season, because our biggest time was the holidays. And then after that was sort of, kind of slowed down, which I don't do well. I don't do slow.
Your wheels are spinning at that point.
So it was, I had planned actually on keeping them both when I started the bakery, like in the winter months of 2009, I guess it was. I had planned on, continuing with the Jean Queen. That was the name. Jean Queen.
I love it. Oh, you can open your own boutique now.
We, but it ended up that it was a lot. I mean, really going into the food business without ever having worked a table or in a restaurant before turned out to be quite the learning curve. So that was my.
Okay. So now you built more than one business.
Yes, I did.
So what were your biggest struggles in all of that? Is there a lesson that you had to relearn a couple of times, or no? Mistakes along the way?
Mistakes along the way were definite, but they all sort of highlight, like, mistakes are like opportunities in disguise. I mean, every mistake or something that's seemingly, a mistake is something that, is an opportunity to learn, to strengthen your system, or to, if you're not learning from something, it's a lost opportunity. So I don't know if I can catalog it as a mistake, but certainly there were things I would have done differently. But really, ultimately, they've all led, to something better, or me learning something from it.
So what advice would you give to women who are listening that said, I have a great idea, but how do you go from the idea phase?
Okay. Well, I have an interesting way, I guess, to look at it. I think that ideas are like kind of like a baby fetus in a way. Like you don't tell people you're pregnant for a certain amount of time until you know it takes root.
Okay.
You don't share it even with your closest, friends and family, because you really want to make sure that that dream, that vision, that idea has legs or some type of heartbeat to like build on before you go blabbing it to everybody, which I do think is a very common, listen, everybody has their own way. Sure. To me, I think that it is disempowering when you share something that doesn't have the strength to withstand the pushback that you know you're going to get, sometimes from the people closest to you. Mm-hmm. So I do feel like, like when you're newly pregnant or you have you protect that with all of yourself, and you keep it, once you have it, you can't stop thinking about it, and that's nourishing it. Mm-hmm. And when you're internalizing that nourishment, it allows it to really take root and it helps it to, to go from an idea to fruition. Right. So I think that's a really big one. I think just really securing it within yourself, mm-hmm. and understanding, like, when you do bring it to market or bring it to just conversation, mm-hmm. you're going to have blowback. Mm-hmm. And if you can't imagine how you can withstand that, it's not time to say anything.
Oh.
Like I wouldn't say anything until you know that you're strong enough in your plan to withstand that. Because I do think that women can be extremely sensitive to other people's opinions. And
That's
I understand
true.
that.
That's true. Yeah.
But
blowback in what do you mean?
Just doubt, or, just the naysayers and
people who question. Yes. I'm like, what are you doing?
And most of the time that's a mirror to what you're doing to yourself, Yeah,
that's true.
So if you can take a minute to work through your own doubt, truly work through it.
Yeah.
Or at least not let it lead the show, right? Like your doubt is an emotion, it's a feeling.
And you ask yourself, like, why am I feeling like this? And you uncover the reasons why, or you just...
I just look at everything and when it comes to that, is like there's just two categories. There's your feelings and there's your facts. So your feelings are like your doubt, your fear, your insecurity, your all the reasons, and that you can't do something. And then there's the facts of your idea, what it's going to bring, and yes, I can.
How do you know it's the right idea, though? You go back to your intuition.
I think ultimately that's a faith question. So like, mm-hmm. as you build that internal voice, mm-hmm. and guide, the more you rely on it, the more you feed it, the more you learn to trust it.
Yeah, the stronger it gets.
And the more you trust it, the stronger it gets. It's undeniable. Like it's it's like a gut. Like Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So, you know when you know when to continue, or when to not move forward.
Yeah, and I think there should be a stress test for an idea before you do discuss it with somebody else. Like you mm-hmm. should put it through your own like cycle of, mm-hmm. Where is it vulnerable? What is the competition like? Mm-hmm. Does it exist? Or how could it be? Kind of be devil's advocate to yourself, mm-hmm. so that by the time somebody does give you that, you're prepared. And they're not going to tear it down,
Right. So many people are really susceptible to the naysayers and the doubters. And
yes, right? I think that, that's a choice. Mm. Ultimately, that's a choice. If you're going to choose to allow someone that power, mm-hmm. don't be surprised when they take it.
Right.
And they use it, I don't know. I guess I think that it's important to know if it's up to, ultimately it's, you are in that seat. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to be, the leader of your destiny, you can't expect someone else to always be your co-pilot. Like you can't expect society to be your co-pilot. They're not all going to be like, yes, you got, like they're not. So
wow,
you got to.
So true. Yeah. Right. And, all right. So, which brings me back to how many, many years ago we first connected, and you were so spiritual, and I was like, oh my God, like how do I get to where she is, right? And you're like, you have to read Many Lives, Many Masters. And I remember, and if anyone's listening, try picking up that book because it's going to blow your mind. Because it's not what you think it is by the title, right? So, and then we went to a function at Jacob Javits Center. All about that. So I think we did meditation and all that. So meditation is a very big part of your life, right?
Yes, I get.
Or
yes.
you're like a walking meditation.
Yes,
you told me
I
that.
think
You told me that once. You were like, Jill, maybe your meditation is on the treadmill. Maybe that is your. Your,
I think there's. I try to start my day with like a dial-in, like a formal, like, connection to your higher self, to whatever you want to call it.
No devices. So that's no devices. That's nothing. That's you, all you. Right.
But it doesn't have to be even too formal or too long or too arduous. I think that you can just make that intention to connect. And then my day is mostly spent in that type of conscious contact.
Right.
So it's not perfect. There are some times where you question, but usually that's related to like how well you're sleeping, eating, and all lifestyle stuff,
So funny. I've said to people when they're like, oh, you should pray on it. I'm like, I have a direct connect. I am constantly, it's like a walkie-talkie that's always on. So I'm like, I am dialed in.
Exactly. Yeah.
All day, every day. So I don't need to stop and pray.
Yes. I think prayer ultimately is.
I love prayer. I mean, don't get me wrong.
I think it's ultimately concentrated thought.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I mean, it's concentrated thought to a designated, higher self, or your
God or whomever,
your universe, whatever you want to call it, something outside of you.
Yeah.
But so I think that there's definitely a dial in that you want to kind of connect with, but for the most part, you can absolutely just you have a dialogue all day.
Right. And you don't have to sit and on the floor and say, and no, I mean, it's just silly. But I mean, if that works for some people, that's wonderful. But
I think having discipline works. Like, you have to have a discipline. If you don't, in a way, it's like, yes, you ultimately, there's sort of this, it doesn't have to be 8 hours in a dark room, with no food and water so that you can make a connection. I think that ultimately, though, like, there is a discipline to finding that space of focus and understanding how to, like you said, like a constant dialogue.
Right. And finding it, and everybody's is different, right?
Everyone's is different.
Yeah. You're a woman in business, obviously. How hard has it been for you to be a woman in business? Because there's a lot of men out there. There's a lot of men as CEOs and, men who own, shopping centers and everything that you're dealing with. Is it hard?
It has become one of my greatest assets, I think. Okay. So I think there is a point in the beginning where it's intimidating or overwhelming. But I do think that I think a lot of women are fighting for a seat at the table. And then when they get there, they want to change the game. Ooh. And I don't play that like that. I'm okay with banter, with comments. I don't care. I'm not here to make a friend. Right. This isn't a popularity contest. I'm not playing golf with you tomorrow. I'm not going to have whiskey with you later. Like, we're here. I'm here for one thing. Right. It's very clear. Right. And I do think that, to what I was saying, I think it's a great advantage, because I don't think a lot of men in general have that. I think there's a lot of community around their meetings, and there's a lot of brotherhood, or there's a lot of relationship building around it. And to me, it's like, that's a waste of time. I'm not here for that. That. I have shit to do. Yeah, we're here for, for this reason. And I think that it ends up cutting through a lot of that. And what you think of me doesn't matter. Right. If they feel a certain way, it doesn't matter to me. I don't know. I guess I just feel a little more, it's taken time. I can't say it's always been like that. But I remembered when I was first starting Belmore, the first store, I was in these used equipment places for restaurant equipment. And I mean, you're really around a lot of interesting characters. Okay. And all men. And they would look at me and they'd say, "Oh, little girl, are you here for a school trip? Are you here for a school trip?" And I'd say, gosh, no, I'm not. Thank you. But by the way, can you just tell me how much this is, or where? Like, it just doesn't have to matter. Like, everything I think that sometimes can be a real detriment to a lot of women, where like everything it doesn't have to matter. Like, if you don't let things land on you, then they don't land. Like, there's a saying, right? If you wouldn't go to someone for advice, don't take what they're saying at any value.
Right.
At all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
Like, it's an opinion. It doesn't have to be part of the deal or again, I think that we as women, we're just always take on this supportive role or this care, everyone's liking us and it's important to us. I think when you divorce from that, you really can soar.
Right.
Because you're no longer bound to I don't care what you think of me. I don't have to care about that. It's okay. You can think I'm immature. So many people, listen, I'm still in a male dominated industry. I think most of the people closest to me have thought, and they've been honest about this. I thought you were a dumb blonde who didn't know what you were doing. It's thank you for sharing. I'm glad you feel that way. Now moving on. Let's get back. It doesn't have to matter.
Right. And why do you think you should have told me that? Did I care?
Who cares?
Right.
It's just great. I'm glad that you came to terms with yourself to realize that you were wrong. Okay, moving on. I find it a waste of time. I do. I find that it's it doesn't have to it doesn't have to shape your decision or your anything. It just move on. So
your advice to women who have the idea, whatever, and say, just keep going. I
think you have to work through your doubt. You have to work through your own self-doubt. And when you can truly categorize what your thoughts are, ones that serve you and ones that don't. And in order to do that, you do need to have, I guess, at least an idea of meditation. You have to be aware of your thoughts.
Right.
Because not all of them are supposed to be guiding.
Right.
Some of them are just, low energy. They're just not, they're just whatever it is. But the less you listen to them, the louder, the more quiet they get. And then ultimately they just don't matter.
So I
think that's step one. I think it's the work. I hear a lot of women who are just oh yeah, maybe that's for you, but not for me. Or I could never, or those words mean something. I don't talk to myself like that. I can hear it. I'll hear it, but I don't repeat that. That's not,
you don't pay attention to it.
No.
Right. So, where do you see yourself in 5 years in the business? Are you growing? Are you continue to scale?
Yes. I see ourselves in many communities across the country. Retail. For sure. And making a big difference on the lives of the families that are left with almost no options. That's really important to me. I think that definitely. But the licensing, will help to bring that to fruition a lot quicker. Right. Because at some point you can't do it all.
You're Bare Naked Bakery, but you started as Bare Naked Buns or something, right?
No. We were always Bare Naked Bakery. We just did an off brand, but we ended up, that was just for the kosher part of it, just to help our customers, to distinguish which ones were kosher, what locations were kosher. Yeah, but we've always been Bare Naked Bakery.
And that's a great name. Did that come to you? How did that come to you?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. We, I like a lot of that. I think people don't know and then they stop there and they turn their back. It's I think it's important to ask, right? All of it. I feel very divinely guided in the career I'm in. But it is it's synergy. I have to take the lead. I have to listen to the guidance I'm given and be able to take it. So when it comes to the name or things like that, I think you ask and then you have to wait and then the answer comes.
I can share that story with this show. The same thing. It came to me and I just started writing it. I call it the download I was telling about. I mean, it truly came when I got very quiet and I was where should I go? What direction should I lead in? And should I, be a part of? And then it was boom, 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 boom. And I was writing it and I was what? And I was just kept going. And then of course I made the mistake of telling someone, but, who, and they do mean well, but you have to kind of, like you said, kind of just say, okay, thank you for giving me your opinion, but I'm not holding that space for it,
yeah, it's hard to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Because often, like you said, it's often the people closest to us, right? That mean well. But you have to forge ahead.
Yes, you do have to forge ahead. But I think it's we're into this instant gratification where we should ask and then we should know right away. It's you ask, and then you wait. Okay. My household is like, it's like an ongoing joke because I always just require this level of quiet. And they're like, what, Mom? Like I'm always like, okay, like I thrive in like my thought. I can't hear what, what that next step is or what that next direction is in chaos. Mm-hmm. So of course, I can't expect my world to conform to that.
Yeah, I have 2 kids.
But I'll try. So I always have to try to carve out some time to just hear that direction and be able to make a space for it.
Right. So, what do you think? I mean, do you think you're moving forward and you're obviously going to scale in major ways? We have about a minute and 45 seconds left, but any regrets that you wish that you had done?
I cannot. I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know. It's hard for me to. Yeah, I don't think regrets. But
what's your passion? What is your passion in life? You have more than one, I feel like. You probably do.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, there's so many ideas and so many things like this, but I guess just kind of circling back to the advice thing for the listeners, it's important to stay focused on what you're doing and finishing it through. I do feel like there could be a lot of, it's very easy to get distracted or things get hard and then you're like, okay, I'm done. Mm-hmm. It's when you keep, like, to me, I had so much on the line for this business that option was never really there. I couldn't walk away. Mm-hmm. So I was forced to really continue to see it through. And I think that's ultimately at some point you have a turning point and things work out.
Oh my God. I absolutely love it. Okay. Bridget Dernbach, such a wonderful woman. It's an amazing CEO of Bare Naked Bakery. Thank you for coming on the show. Please head to our website. What's your website? BareNakedBakery.com?
Yes, BareNakedBakery.com.
Okay, and the food ships nationwide, right?
Yes, we do ship nationwide, and we have Thanksgiving coming, which is our busiest holiday. So place your orders now. Lots of pies and cornbread and stuffing and
all the good stuff. All the good stuff. You have been listening to Secrets of Powerful Women. Head to our website, Powerful Women USA. Get on the newsletter. I'm Jill Conway. Thank you for listening to the show, celebrating and empowering women. I hope you are inspired to pursue your goals, believe in yourself, be courageous. I'm here to remind you that your voice matters and that your story has power. We are unstoppable, everybody. I hope you join me next time.